So earlier in the year, I did a video asking the question of, should Dave Gettleman be on the hot seat? Because at the time, there were a lot of people that were kind of talking about Dave Gettleman and some of the things that he had done since coming here and becoming the general manager of the New York Football Giants. And there were people that were real angry, right? Like jumping out the window angry about Dave Gettleman, and people saying that he should have been gone and they can't wait for him to be out of here, and just all kinds of stuff, right? So I sat down and I took a good hard look at the things Dave Gettleman had did and where we were at up to that point, okay? This was back in like June of this year. And I referenced some things that he had did, some things that I didn't agree with, some things that I thought may have been bad moves. But I also referenced like some of the things that he did that were good. Because if y'all know anything about PTA, if y'all know anything about PTA Sports, the channel, if y'all know anything about the way that I do business here, right? I don't call for people's jobs. It's just not what I do. Instead, right, I take honest, unbiased looks at things people have done, and I say I will either support or I cannot support that person. All right? That's the way I do business. So this season starts. The season starts and we lose a fuck ton of games, right? We lose a whole bunch of games back to back, bing, 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 bing. We just lose, right? And y'all know me, man. I stay on Twitter. And I see all these people continue to talk about how bad Dave Gettleman is. To continue to talk about how bad this roster is. To continue to talk about all these moves that he's made, whether they were moves from 2 years ago or moves like, recently up to that point before the season started. And people just losing their minds, right? People going crazy. They going crazy about Dave Gettleman. While your boy PTA just kind of sits in the back and I just watch. Because the last time I talked about Dave Gettleman, I said that we didn't need anything super crazy to happen this season positively for Dave Gettleman to get another opportunity to try to continue to make this team better. I said that I wanted to see growth. I said that I wanted to see the team get better. Like, these are the things that I said about Dave Gettleman and his job. And I specifically said that I didn't think he needed to be on the hot seat. I said that let's just tie him to Joe Judge for a couple of years. Let's just see how this thing works out. And if it doesn't work, then he needs to go. Whatever. Right? That's basically what I said. But there's still people talking all kinds of craziness about Dave Gettleman, man. And at this point in the season, right? The New York Football Giants, we are currently in the lead of the division. We got the tiebreaker with the Washington Football Team, who also seems like they're a team that's got a lot of fight left in them. They're a team that could potentially win this division. But as it stands right now, New York Football Giants have the lead. We are leading in the division. And so this week, right, I just took another step back. I took another step back, right? Because I was just like, how are people still flipping out about Dave Gettleman right now? Like, how are people still angry about Dave Gettleman at this point in time? Because I don't really get it. Now, listen, before I continue, this is not a video where I'm going to sit here and defend Dave Gettleman and bang my head on my desk, bang my fist into my desk. This guy needs to be here no matter what. All right? That's not what this is about. This is not about me straight up defending Dave Gettleman. What this is more about what this is more about is taking a good hard look at everything that has happened up to this point and coming to a realization. Because I came to a realization, y'all, as I took that step back and I just revisited everything that happened up to this point. I came to a realization, y'all. And my realization is we should not be putting 100% of the blame on Dave Gettleman. I know, a couple of y'all's heads is exploding right now as I sit here and say that we should not put it all on Dave Gettleman. But hear me out. Hear me out. Let me tell you guys my theory. See, here's what I think. I personally think that this entire time, right? This entire time, Dave Gettleman has been collaborative with his coaching staff. This entire time, Dave Gettleman has gone to his coaches and said, okay, who you guys want? Who do y'all want? And let me figure out a way to get them here. Show me the guys that you like. Show me the guys that you think are going to fit into your scheme. Show me the guys that you think are going to make this team better. I'll figure it out and I'll go get them. And that's how we end up with like the Jonathan Stewarts of the world, the Nate Solters of the world, the Patrick Omames of the world, the Alec Ogletrees of the world, the Kyle Lalettas of the world. That's how we end up with these players. Because I legitimately think that the coaches went to Dave Gettleman and said, hey, we want these players. And Dave Gettleman said, all right, cool. I'll go get these players for you. Now, should Dave Gettleman be a bit more, I don't know, knowledgeable and experienced about these players as he brings them in? Sure. Yeah. And if Dave Gettleman thinks that these players are ass juice, he should say, nah, I'm not bringing these players in. And I'm pretty sure that has happened. I'm pretty sure that Dave Gettleman has said, I'm not bringing that player in here. He sucks. I'm pretty sure he has. But as I look over the rosters since Dave Gettleman has been here, I feel like, for the most part, a lot of these players that he's brought in are players that he was asked to bring in. Now, listen, when we're talking about like a Patrick Omame or a Jonathan Stewart, right? Or hell, even a James Bradbury. These are guys that Gettleman says, look, I got my eye on these guys. I know these guys. I want to bring these guys in. I'm pretty sure that those guys, these Carolina guys, these are Dave Gettleman's guys, okay? I will relent to that fact that I'm fairly certain that these guys are Dave Gettleman's guys. But if you look at the players that we have brought in up to this point, they all have a tie or a trait or an ability that a coach that is currently on the coaching staff would want, okay? I legitimately believe that. I mean, listen, do your own homework on this, okay? Go back, look at these rosters, look at some of the moves that we made from the standpoint, at least from the standpoint of free agency. Look at some of these moves that we made, right? And tell me that all of these moves don't have some kind of a tie to someone on the coaching staff at the time. Because as I look, that's what I kind of realize. Oh, shit. All these players that are not Carolina players, these players have ties or traits or abilities that the coaching staff would want. My biggest piece of evidence on this, right? Here's my biggest piece of evidence on this. So let's look at the draft from a season ago. Not this past draft, but the draft before that, right? Daniel Jones. Now, we knew, we now know. We didn't know at the time, but we now know that Daniel Jones was Pat Shurmur's guy. He wanted Daniel Jones. We know that Dave Gettleman wanted the linebacker from Kentucky, Josh Allen. That's who he wanted, right? But Pat Shurmur wanted Daniel Jones. So Dave Gettleman got Daniel Jones by any means necessary. That's what he went and he did. O'Shane Ximines, Julian Love. I'm fairly certain that that wasn't just Dave Gettleman. I'm sure Dave Gettleman had a lot to do with it, but that wasn't just Dave Gettleman. Now, the only thing that really trips me up a little bit here, right, is Julian Love was not quite utilized right from the very beginning, right? But he was turned into a safety, and he's still a safety. So maybe they thought Julian Love could come in here and play safety. I mean, he's still kind of being a safety, even though he seems to be lining up all over the place. And then Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton seemed like the kind of guy that Pat Shurmur would have wanted to. Just a vertical guy, right? Pat Shurmur seemed to run like a kind of a West Coast, right? A kind of a West Coast system. And he needed that deep guy, and Darius Slayton was that deep guy. That's what Darius Slayton did the entire time. He was the deep guy. So I look at that and I'm like, man, these guys seem to all have ties. Now, unfortunately, like right in that draft, we had a lot of misses. Because DeAndre Baker is definitely a miss based on his, not even his athletic ability, but based on his decision-making ability. He's not here. Ryan Conley's not here. Corey Ballantyne's not here. George Asafo-Adjai's not here. Chris Slayton's not here, right? But again, I feel like, I 100% feel like these players were players that some of the coaches may have wanted. Because when I look at this draft, the most recent draft, right? And I look down this list and I see all these players, right? All these players, Andrew Thomas, McKinney, Parrott, Holmes, Lemieux, Cam Brown, Carter Coughlin, T.J. Bronson was here, Chris Williamson was there, but they're not contributing anything right now. Tay Crowder, okay? All these players have a value that this coaching staff sees and wants. All of them. And they're all playing well, by the way. All of them are playing well. I'm just saying. There is very few misses on this list that I'm looking at right here. I got this list right here. It's right here. There's very few misses on this list right here. Now, thankfully, we got a coaching staff that actually gives a shit about using players for what they're good at, as opposed to trying to fit square pegs in round holes like the last coaching staff did. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, this makes me feel like Dave Gettleman has always been collaborative. This makes me feel like Dave Gettleman has always worked with his coaching staff from the very beginning. From the absolute beginning, Dave Gettleman seems like a guy that works with his coaching staff. So, I say all that to say that maybe it's not all Dave Gettleman's fault. Maybe it was that bum-ass coaching staff from last year's fault. Because when we're looking at this current coaching staff, this team's playing great. These players are learning. These players are evolving. These players are developing. Our defense looks great. Our offense, but it's getting there. Our offensive line looks fantastic. Maybe it's not all Dave Gettleman's fault. Maybe it's not. I'm just saying. I'm looking at this, man, and I'm just like, yo, I don't think we can give Dave Gettleman all the blame for the Giants' woes. I'm a firm believer that the coaching staff is one of the most important pieces of the football team. A good coaching staff can take anybody, and make them serviceable. Not great, not good, not average, but serviceable. We have late round picks right now being serviceable. So maybe it's not all on Dave Gettleman. Again, this video was not meant to defend Dave Gettleman. This video was not an I told you so video. This video was not to say that the people who are jumping out the window about how Dave Gettleman needs to be gone are wrong. You all are entitled to your opinion. I don't agree with your opinion, but you're entitled to it. I personally think that Dave Gettleman has been doing fine with the situations that he has had. He's been doing fine. We can't sit here and pretend like the free agents that Dave Gettleman brought in are not balling out, because they are. They are. They're balling out. We can't sit here and pretend that Dave Gettleman did not just hit a home run with this past draft. It's a home run. Let me tell y'all why it's a home run. I said this on my live stream the other day, but I'm going to tell y'all why it's a home run. In my opinion, why I think it's a home run. 3 names: Andrew Thomas, Matt Parrott, Shane Lemieux. 3 names. Shane Lemieux's been playing great at left guard. Andrew Thomas looks like the person I thought he was going to be. Matt Parrott has looked great when he's come in and played. He hasn't played, a starters full of reps, but he's looked great when he's come in and played. So great, in fact, that people are screaming at the top of their lungs that he needs to come in there and Cam Fleming needs to get out. We've got 3 of 5 offensive linemen in one draft. 3 of 5. Think about that. Think about the fact that at the end of this season, right? At the end of this season, we could potentially have 5 young offensive linemen that can stay on this team long term. Think about that. That's a big deal. I personally think this is a home run, especially being that we're getting value out of these late round guys. This draft is a home run. And the coaching staff is utilizing the shit out of this draft. I'm just saying, y'all. I personally don't see how people are not able to say Dave Gettleman did a damn good job this offseason leading up to right now. I know it was rough at the start. But when we look at this team and we look at how this team has grown and progressed, Dave Gettleman did a damn good job, y'all. And I personally want to see Dave Gettleman get another offseason. Because if Dave Gettleman has an offseason this upcoming offseason like his past offseason, holy shit, y'all. This team could be real damn good. And if it's not, and he gone, then he gone. That's just my opinion. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell y'all. I don't know what else to say. I'm not trying to convince none of y'all of nothing. This is my personal feelings. I think a lot of people have been wrong about Dave Gettleman. I think a lot of people have been giving Dave Gettleman too much shit about the results of this team. I think a lot of people are being short-sighted about this team. And I'm going to tell you what. Dave Gettleman's not here. And another GM comes up in here and has shit drafts and has terrible free agency. Y'all going to be begging for Dave Gettleman to come in here and have a good draft. Y'all going to be begging for it. I'm just saying. It is what it is. So listen, y'all. We're going to wrap this bad boy up, man. I appreciate y'all coming and listening to me talk for a little bit. Hope everybody is having a great day. Hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope we have a great game on Sunday. And I will get up with you guys later. Deuces.